The fluorescent light in my office had always hummed. Tonight, it was a siren. I was 3 days out from delivering the SOC 2 Type 2 compliance audit, a 14-month project that essentially kept $200 million of our biggest clients' contracts on the table. It was my silo, my specialty, the thing no one else in the company understood. I lived in the fine print of data trust and vendor risk. That's when he strolled in, the new VP of Synergy from the outside, with a smile that felt scraped off a corporate pamphlet. "Your job isn't strategic," he told me, leaning on my doorframe, the casual dismissal heavy and dull. "It's just keeping the lights on." My hands, resting on the final sign-off documents, did not tremble. They tightened. A slow, subtle clench. Lights on. I looked at him, at the clean suit, the cheap confidence, the way he already saw my function and, by extension, me as redundant cost. He wanted my budget. He wanted my team. He didn't understand the wires he was trying to snip. I gave him a look devoid of offense, just quiet consideration. A promise he couldn't read. "Understood," I said. My voice was level, almost low. I finished the final review, saved the encrypted folders to my local drives, saved a mirrored copy to a cloud I owned. Then I printed a single blank sheet of paper, signed it with my name, and placed it neatly atop the stack of audit documents. I picked up my keys, left them, silent, on my empty desk. I walked out. I had 2 weeks of accrued vacation and a non-compete clause with more holes than a fishing net. The next morning, I was on a beach, phone on airplane mode. The quiet was a luxury I'd earned. The emails started 2 days later. First, the trickle of IT questions. Then, the frantic pings from my former team. Finally, the panicked calls from the CEO's administrative assistant. I watched the names flash on my screen. I let them ring. Lights out. I knew the precise timeline of their collapse. They wouldn't notice the certifying officer until the client's legal team started asking pointed questions. They wouldn't realize I held the final encryption keys to the entire audit until they needed to upload the full package. They wouldn't know the vulnerability was me. It was a beautiful, elegant design. My resignation was not an exit, it was a trapdoor. The final act played out exactly as I'd choreographed it. I received the transcript from a contact I'd cultivated for years, someone I'd helped with their lights-on problem. The audio was clear. A frantic, muffled voice from my old CEO. "We can fix this. Just give us a week." Then, the cold, measured voice of the client's general counsel filling the entire room through the speakerphone. "Your SOC 2 certification officer resigned," the voice said, the words a hammer blow. "The audit process is invalid. Our fiduciary requirement is non-negotiable." A pause, a dramatic, necessary pause. "You have 24 hours before we pull our $200 million contract." The line went dead. The silence after was a tomb. I deleted the transcript, took a long, slow sip of the cool drink in my hand. My former company was in free fall. The new VP of Synergy, the one who saw my function as just keeping the lights on, had nothing to manage but a rapid descent into liquidation. He was caught in the wreckage he'd created, drowning in the darkness he'd so carelessly demanded. My part was over. I didn't feel rage. I didn't feel joy. I felt the quiet satisfaction of a strategy perfectly executed. The difference between competence and arrogance is a $200 million contract. I was never interested in keeping the lights on. I was interested in owning the switch. I checked the time. My next flight was boarding. I closed my laptop and walked away from the beach, leaving no footsteps in the sand. I was already gone.